Most of what we think is love ends up leaving us divorced, trapped in toxic relationships, or chasing people who don't care. Just like Tom from 500 Days of Summer, we all have the same problem, a distorted and manipulative view of love. And I would reckon movies and media are to blame. Just look at the countless number of love songs about obsessing over an ex, or Disney films about spontaneous love that always end in happy ever after. 500 Days of Summer, however, is different, because it uses one scene to expose the exact moment our innocence was stolen. And through Tom's heartbreak, it shows us how this false perception of love can quietly ruin our lives. Which raises real questions like, why do most of our attempts at healthy relationships fail? How do we fix this perception of love we never knew was broken? And what does true love really look like? Let's find out. In the beginning of the film, we get to learn that Tom believed he would never be happy until he met the one. To simply explain what the one really means, the one frames true love as destiny rather than choice, where love is shown as something magical, instantaneous, and inevitable, not something people actively build over time. What makes it dangerous is that it tricks most people into believing that once they find the one, all their life struggles are resolved because love is portrayed as the ultimate solution. The question I asked myself is, where and when did we acquire this thinking? Then I remembered this scene here.
This belief stemmed from early exposure to sad British pop music and a total misreading of the movie The Graduate.
Growing up, we all had access to different types of media at a very young age. Music, films, cartoons, and books. During that young age, our brains were very malleable, and so once we consumed this media like Disney animated films that told us that finding the one is the ultimate form of true love and that love will end all of our life issues, we were being set up for failure from the start. For example, 1989's The Little Mermaid. After just one encounter with Prince Eric, she becomes convinced he is her true love and risks everything, her voice, her family, and even her identity to be with him. This reinforces that happiness comes from finding that one person you're destined for, even if it means abandoning everything else, including your identity. Let's look at 1997's Titanic. Jack and Rose meet by chance, and in just a few days, Rose risks her engagement, her social standing, and even her life to be with him. Their love is portrayed as instant and faded, not something built slowly over time. What makes it striking is that Jack never once says, "I love you," yet Rose spends the rest of her life defined by that brief connection. Let's talk about how Disney made me and millions of other men believe that being the stereotypical nice guy would get us the girl. Because we watched 1997's Hercules, where he was sweet, awkward, and devoted to Meg, but his niceness is tied to proving himself worthy, almost as if love is the reward for being different from other men. And after consuming this media, we end up with a very dumb idea of what courtship should look like, as well as what love really means. Men pretend to be nice or allow themselves to be doormats while holding on to the hope of being chosen, while women wait for a prince to rescue them from their cluster-mess lives, and we both abandon our identities because we've been taught that love is more important. Through Tom's story, let's see if we can identify the effects of such conditioning. Let's start with how Tom meets Summer. It's attraction at first sight, which is normal, and when he finds out they have similar taste in music and he has a couple of short interactions with her, he becomes obsessed.
We talked about banana fish for like 20 minutes. We're so compatible, it's insane.
Tom uses these positive interactions to conclude that Summer was the one, to where even his 12-year-old sister warns him by saying,
"Just because some cute girl likes the same bizarro crap you do, that doesn't make her your soulmate, Tom."
Which brings us to the karaoke bar scene where Tom finds out that Summer was a skeptic when it comes to love.
There's no such thing as love, it's fantasy.
And we find out that he was a hopeless romantic, a person who believes that love should feel like a fairy tale, because when he's asked by Summer to define love, he says,
"I think you know when you feel it."
Which takes us to their trip to IKEA, where they perfectly act out living together, where for a moment the fantasy came to life, especially for Tom. However, the blissful moment is disrupted by Summer saying,
"I'm not really looking for anything serious."
Now in Tom's head, he understood it as,
Yeah, like casual, right?
Take it slow.
However, what registered in Tom's head, because I've been in this exact position, is let me prove to you that I'm perfect for you over time, but for now, I'll act as if I don't want anything serious, thus kicking his nice guy gear into overdrive. The dates, the deep emotional conversations about their fears and their dreams felt like one big blissful dream that had an indefinite timer. Something I've learned from being in undefined entanglements as someone who likes clarity is that uncertainty will always win. However, that Disney love has us hanging on to hope for a happy ever after. So Tom asks for clarity and gets this as an answer.
Who cares? I'm happy. Aren't you happy?
Yeah.
Please keep this in mind because it's going to be very important later. Then comes this scene where Summer goes to apologize to Tom, where he voices he needs a sense of safety to know he won't be abandoned. But Summer says something I would like you to keep in mind as well, and that is,
But I can't give you that. Nobody can.
Then comes the breakup, where Summer realizes after watching The Graduate that love built on impulse passion often leads to regret and emptiness, because at the end of the film The Graduate, Benjamin and Elaine escape together, but their faces quickly shift from joy to uncertainty, highlighting the emptiness of chasing romantic destiny. However, for Tom, the film represented his fantasy that relationships should be more about sweeping cinematic moments rather than grounded reality, which added to the aftermath of the breakup. Tom struggles a lot getting over Summer, and so do most of us who have gone through a breakup or are going through a breakup. How can you? If the songs we've listened to or are listening to while we navigate this breakup tell us that we can't breathe without them, and we'll never find someone as good as them, so we ruminate ourselves to death and cry ourselves to sleep, believing that our best days are behind us and not ahead of us, scheming on how to get them back like Tom did when he went to Summer's party. We think of how one act of kindness or grand gesture will flood them with empathy and memories of why and how to love us back. But in reality, we probably are the only ones stuck there. So our expectations jump out the window and reality hits us like a ton of bricks. Love, my friends, is not a fairy tale, and if we keep approaching it as such, heartbreak will always be promised. To understand why we fail at healthy relationships and how to fix our perception of love, we need to ask ourselves two very important questions. What does healthy courtship look like? And what does true love look like? Healthy courtship is not one person chasing the other, but two people who willingly come together to know each other deeply over time. It's built slowly and respectfully with honesty, trust, and shared values, focusing on long-term growth rather than short-term excitement. You're not falling for how someone makes you feel, but for who they truly are. Now, when it comes to love, according to the Bible, it describes love in 1 Corinthians 13, 4-7 as love is patient, love is kind, it doesn't envy, it doesn't boast, it's not proud, it always protects, it always trusts, it always hopes, and it always perseveres. Taking that into consideration, true love then is not merely a feeling, but a choice, a daily commitment to care, respect, and grow with someone through life's ups and downs. It lasts only if both people actively decide day after day to choose one another. As Aristotle put it, true love is like having a best friend who helps you become a better person. So knowing what we know now, why do we fail when it comes to healthy relationships? And how do we fix this toxic perception of love? First, we need to understand that anyone can make you feel special, but not everyone can help you grow. When we chase feelings, we end up with a shallow connection, like when Tom asked Summer for clarity in the car, or when she came back to apologize to him. Those moments show how superficial their bond really was. But when we choose the person, their value, their character, their willingness to grow with us, we build something lasting. Healthy love isn't about destiny or chemistry. It's about two people deciding day after day to build together, and most of us will keep failing until we shift our perception of love from chasing feelings to chasing growth. Love isn't a fairy tale, and Prince Charming isn't coming to rescue you from your problems. It's up to you to face them, heal them, and stop bleeding on others or being manipulated or disappointed. When someone says they're not looking for anything serious, or they only see you as a friend, or they're just not ready for a relationship, that's not your cue to convince them that you're their happiness like Tom did. It's your cue to walk away, let it go, and find someone who is ready to build something meaningful with you. And if you're struggling with letting go of a dead relationship like me, check out this video I made about how to let go featuring Toy Story 3. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And always remember that love is a choice, not a feeling. Peace out.